She walked into my office with the slow sadness of someone who had lived more years in sorrow than in time. Her hands were strong, her back straight, but her eyes carried storms. "Amara," she whispered, "I lost one daughter to wickedness, and the other to suffering I still cannot understand." I held her hand gently. "Sit, Mama, speak. Your heart is safe here." She took a breath that trembled, and the story began. "Hello, beloved, welcome again to Unbroken Courage. I'm Amara. Tonight's story is not just about betrayal, but about hidden cruelty, divine justice, long-buried truth, and the mysterious way God brings light into the darkest secrets. Stay with me, beloved. You will cry, but you will also witness restoration." "They were twins," she began softly. "My daughters, born minutes apart, but born with destinies that grew in opposite directions." She closed her eyes as if seeing them again as babies. Maria and Miriam. One came into this world smiling, the other crying so loud she sounded furious with life. Maria grew gentle, the kind of girl who gave away her portion just to see someone happy. Miriam carried a fire, sharp, stubborn, beautiful, but always wanting more. "They loved each other as children," Mama whispered. "They braided each other's hair, shared secrets under blankets, made promises to never leave each other. But promises made in innocence can shatter under jealousy. The trouble began the year they turned 18, Mama said. Both girls loved the same man, Samuel. Samuel chose Maria. Not because Miriam wasn't beautiful, but because Maria's heart felt like peace. Amara, Mama continued. That day Miriam smiled, but her eyes turned dark. I felt fear inside me. Maria married Samuel. A beautiful wedding, flowers, music, blessings everywhere. And in that joy, Mama whispered, evil quietly planted its seed. Months later, a war broke out near their region. Rumors spread, kidnapping, chaos, lawlessness. People fled to safer lands. One morning, Maria said Miriam offered to travel with her to visit their aunt in a nearby town to keep her safe. Mama smiled sadly. My child believed in her sister too much, but Miriam never took her to the aunt. She took her to a war-ridden region abandoned by peace, and one night she bound her, hid her in an abandoned farm on the outskirts of a destroyed village. She left my baby tied there, Mama cried quietly, fed her scraps like an animal, visited rarely, and returned home to lie. Miriam told the world Maria was kidnapped, that she died in the chaos. People wept, and Samuel, shattered by grief, eventually married Miriam. Mama's voice shook. She walked into my house in Maria's clothes and wore her smile like a stolen crown, and I suspected evil, but I had no proof. Years passed. Miriam lived in luxury, wore a wedding ring that was never meant for her, and smiled like she had conquered fate. And Maria? Every night, Mama whispered. My spirit ached. I felt one daughter breathing somewhere, suffering, but no one listened to me. They called me grieving, delusional. Years rolled like heavy stones. One day, a traveler, a humble man with mercy in his bones, wandered through the forgotten region. He saw a woman crawling near the edge of an old barn, Mama whispered. Scared, starved, broken, but still alive. He thought she was a lost person with no memory, but when he fed her, when he cleaned her wounds, she whispered one name. Her name. Maria. The man brought her back to health, step by step, like someone tending to a fallen angel, and when she could finally stand again, she told him, I was not forgotten by God, only hidden until truth could walk with me. Mama paused, tears sliding without restraint. Amara, do you know the day she returned? The day that door opened and I saw her breathing again? She placed her hand on her chest. I died and came back in the same moment. Maria came home scarred, weak, walking slowly, but walking with dignity. What happened when Samuel saw her? What happened to Miriam? What happened when truth stood in the living room like judgment made flesh? Mama's voice lowered, trembling with memory. Everything broke, everything burned, and everything was made right. She wiped her eyes and whispered, But that, Amara, is for another day. For today I asked only to breathe out the beginning. Beloved, that is installment 1 of the twin who became my enemy. The betrayal is unfathomable. The survival is miraculous. The justice and forgiveness to come will shake the heart and cleanse it. If this touched you, type I'm here Amara in the comments so I know your heart is ready for installment 2. I'm Amara, and this is Unbroken Courage, where even in the darkest betrayal, God still rescues the innocent. When Maria returned, she didn't walk like a victim. She walked like someone who had wrestled with death and chosen life. Mama said she opened the front door quietly. No shouting, no drama, just a breath that broke the air. "I was cooking," Mama whispered, wiping her eyes. "I thought I imagined her silhouette at first." I stared at her and my knees gave way. Maria knelt and held her mother tight, their tears falling into each other's palms like rain finally meeting thirsty soil. "Mama," she whispered, voice fragile, "I'm home. Home." A word that tasted like resurrection. But peace rarely walks alone. Truth walks beside it, and truth demands witness. The news spread through the village like wind chasing fire. People ran, neighbors whispered, hearts raced, and Samuel, the husband who remarried, thinking his wife was dead, came rushing like a man running from his own heartbeat. Mama said he froze at the doorway when he saw her. He didn't breathe. He didn't blink. He simply stared at the woman he buried in his heart long ago. "Maria?" he whispered. Maria didn't speak. Pain spoke for her. Pain quiet but sharp. Samuel staggered backward, his hand covering his mouth. He nearly fell. "I thought, they told me. I buried you in my mind," he stammered. Maria looked at him. Not with anger, but with the exhaustion of someone who had cried every tear already. "I died, Samuel," she said softly, "but not in my body. I died in betrayal." He wept, loud, broken, the kind of cry that empties years. And then Miriam walked in. She didn't know. She entered dressed in silk, gold around her neck, confidence in her stride, a queen wearing a stolen crown until she saw her sister. Her face drained of life. Silence froze the room. Even the walls held their breath. Maria," she choked out. Maria looked at her quietly, no rage, just truth sitting in her eyes. Miriam's lips trembled. She dropped her purse. Fear crawled up her spine like cold water. "No," she whispered. "No, you can't be here. You can't." Samuel turned to her slowly. "What did you do?" His voice was not loud, quiet, terrifyingly quiet. The quiet a storm makes before it destroys everything in its path. Miriam backed away. "I did it for us. You don't know how hard it was watching you love her." "Stop," Maria said gently, not in anger, in power. "You didn't do it because you loved him. You did it because you hated that I was chosen." Miriam shook violently. "That's not true." Mama stepped forward, voice like thunder wrapped in sorrow. "I birthed 2 girls, but jealousy birthed a monster." Miriam collapsed, sobbing. I'm sorry. I was going to come back for you." "You left me to rot," Maria said quietly. "Even animals protect their own." Samuel looked at Miriam with a face carved by heartbreak and disgust. "You married me on a grave you dug." Word spread. People came. Authorities came. The man who rescued Maria testified. Doctors confirmed her starvation. Villagers remembered Miriam's lies. It was no longer a secret. It was judgment presented to daylight. Miriam was taken away, not to be tortured, not to be harmed. No, this is unbroken courage. Here, justice is not revenge. Justice is truth revealed. As she was led out, she looked at Maria one last time. Maria whispered only one sentence. "I forgive you, but I will never return to the place you buried me." Forgiveness does not cancel consequences. It simply frees the heart. That night, Samuel sat outside beneath the moon, head in his hands. "I don't deserve forgiveness," he whispered. Maria sat beside him, back straight, spirit calm. "You believed a lie," she said gently. "You hurt me, but your sin was not jealousy. It was blindness." He wept softly. "Maria, how do I carry this guilt?" She looked at him with eyes touched by grace. "You carry it by doing good, not to erase the past, but to build a future worthy of the pain." Some wounds don't heal by going back, they heal by going forward, and Samuel nodded slowly. Understanding was beginning to enter him like dawn creeping over darkness. When Mama finished telling this part, she sighed, long, heavy, but relieved. "Amara," she said, "evil hid in my house for years, but God waited until the right moment. Darkness speaks loudly, but God's timing speaks finally." I nodded. Truth always returns. It may crawl, it may bleed, it may arrive late, but truth always comes home. She closed her eyes, and my daughter returned too. There are 2 kinds of victories in this world, the one that shouts in triumph, and the one that breathes in peace. Maria did not return to reclaim her old life. She returned to reclaim herself. Mama's voice softened when she spoke about what happened after Miriam was taken away. "The morning after the truth broke like thunder," she said, "I woke up to find Maria sitting outside, watching the sunrise." Mama walked to her, sat beside her, and held her hand. like she used to when Maria was a little girl afraid of storms. "Are you all right, my child?" she whispered. Maria didn't look away from the sky. "Mama, I don't want my life back," she said softly. "I want a new one." And Mama smiled, tears filling her eyes. That is how I knew she was healed, not because she forgot the pain, but because she refused to live inside it. A wounded heart learns to breathe again. Samuel tried, in his own broken way, to make things right. He didn't demand her love. He didn't beg for marriage again. He simply asked for forgiveness and distance, if that's what she needed. Maria told him, "You believed lies because you never learned to see truth in quiet hearts. I forgive you." But forgiveness does not rebuild what betrayal unbuilt. Samuel bowed his head, not in defeat, in humility. From that day, he supported her quietly. He paid for her medical care. He helped Mama repair the house. He made no claims, no demands, only repentance in action. Sometimes love isn't meant to return. Sometimes love is meant to grow up and then bow goodbye. And so they released one another, not in anger, but in peace. He walked away slowly, like a man leaving a grave after laying flowers. God sent provision with hands and heart. Maria lived with Mama again, tenderly, safely. But solitude does not always mean loneliness. Sometimes it means restoration. The man who had rescued her visited often, not out of obligation, but out of honor. His name was Emmanuel. He never looked at her scars, Mama said. He looked at her eyes, and he saw the woman God preserved. He brought her books, not flowers, bread for the mind as much as the body. He spoke softly, laughed gently, and never asked questions she wasn't ready to answer. One day Maria asked him, "Why did you help me?" He smiled, eyes humble. "Some souls don't need saving," he said. "They just need reminding they still belong to life." Maria didn't fall in love instantly. She learned to trust again, step by step, word by word, smile by trembling smile. Healing is not a moment. It is a lifetime of moments stitched together with hope. What became of Miriam? Mama sighed deeply when I asked. "She is paying for what she did," she said, "but I do not rejoice. I pray for her." And then she whispered the sentence every mother knows by instinct. Even when a child becomes a serpent, a mother's heart still aches. Maria wrote her a letter, not of hatred, but truth. "Sister, the world gave you envy. I offer you peace. I free you in my heart. Your chain is no longer mine." Forgiveness did not release Miriam from consequences. It released Maria from poison. There is no miracle greater than a life rebuilt in silence. Maria began helping women at a local shelter, those who escaped abuse, abandonment, and loss. She spoke softly, but her presence was thunder. They didn't follow her because she survived. They followed her because she glowed through scars. Mama said one night she overheard her daughter praying, "Lord, thank you for rescuing me, not just from my sister, but from becoming like her." Some victories are quiet, some victories are private, some victories are simply this: I did not become what hurt me. As Mama finished, she looked at me with eyes still wet but shining. "I lost one daughter to jealousy," she said, voice trembling, "but I found her again in grace." She took a breath, then whispered, "And the other? I did not raise her to be wicked, but pain chooses people differently." I held her hands and answered, "Mama, God restores what the enemy tries to bury. Some graves turn into gardens." She nodded, unable to speak, and covered her face with her hands, not in sorrow, but thanksgiving. Beloved, that was it, Heckle. A story of betrayal deeper than blood, pain that almost swallowed light, and grace that arrived quietly, like dawn. Remember this: people may bury you, but God resurrects those who belong to Him. Forgiveness is not weakness. It is freedom wearing armor. And sometimes God doesn't give you back what you lost. He gives you better than what betrayed you. If this touched your spirit, tell me in the comments. Grace wins. I'm Amara, and this is Unbroken Courage, where broken hearts don't shatter, they shine.